of the COVID-19 pandemic and during the massive movements, uprisings, and protests in the United States, where I'm in Oakland, California, in the United States, and around the world in support of the movement for Black Lives Matter, with calls to defund the police and for everyone to come forward and to participate in the massive transformation of oppressive systems that we know, some of which we don't know, in our countries and throughout the globe, which is now connected globally. We are now interconnected globally. My name is Mushim Patricia Ikeda. I'm a core teacher at East Bay Meditation Center, and this is the next to last meeting of the 7th cohort of our year-long program of secular mindfulness for social justice activists and agents of change, practice in transformative action. Speaking to the theme, briefly, of creativity, vulnerability, and power, moving forward together. So once again, this is for an audience. It's for mindfulness-based social justice activists, agents of transformation, agents of social change. And I invite you because ultimately what's important is that you bring forward what this means to you, to reflect on for a moment on what comes to your mind at this point when you hear the word creativity. And that's an invitational word. That means your creativity. How can you bring it forth? How are you bringing it forth? Give yourself a pat on the shoulder, as Zahra said, for all the ways that you are, and invite yourself to become even more creative. Vulnerability. In order to show up in our power, we also need to find safer ways to show ourselves in our vulnerability. There is a wonderful video on YouTube that I've been looking at for inspiration that comes from CAN. They are artists in Canada. It's their Zoom rendition of the song Lean on Me, and it was produced to inspire Canadians and the world during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. I just keep looking at it. What a great contribution from our Canadian friends. And what's particularly come forward out of that song in the lyrics of Lean on Me is I think it's something about the invitation to please speak up and ask for what you need to borrow. If there's something I have that you need to borrow, because I don't know what your needs are unless you speak up. So when we speak up, it's can make us, I'll just speak for myself, make me feel very vulnerable because I can voice a need, and what if there's no answer? Frightening thought. Or what if people say, I hear you and I'm so stressed out myself, I actually cannot help you. In underserved communities, this can happen. It has happened to me. And it has also happened that when I've made myself vulnerable and I say, this is what I need, then gifts just come forward from all these unexpected places. There's a kind of a grace that descends that is so, Zahra talked about connection to the divine, and it has that miraculous kind of revelatory power, which brings us to creativity, vulnerability, and power. How can we show up in our full power? How can we contribute to most effectively and strategically to the parts of the movement the great movements for our time. It might be climate crisis. It might be the movement for Black lives. It could be the various other liberatory movements that are identity-based that we're engaged in to support our transgender siblings, to support all of the people who are struggling with finances, to support parents who've been on lockdown with kids who are bouncing off the walls and tearing up the furniture. There is a place for everyone, and we need to show up in our power to be able to genuinely give. And then to also keep in mind that, for me at least, the overall purpose is not to fragment ourselves, is not to silo ourselves. It's to do our own work where we can do it most effectively with everyone in mind. With everyone in mind. Thich Nhat Hanh has said, it is easy to love the lovable. It's very difficult to love the unlovable. Here we're talking about metta, unconditional loving kindness from the Buddhist tradition, agape from the Christian tradition. There may be other words from other traditions. So we're not talking about personal love. We're not talking about romantic love or attachment. We're talking about moving together, moving forward together in unconditional love, which means unconditional respect. I may not personally respect certain people because of things they have done, which is understandable. And I want to be able to accord universal respect to all living beings simply because they and we are existing. That is my goal as a spiritual practitioner. It's my goal as a mindfulness practitioner, not because I like everyone. I don't. I wish to practice unconditional respect because I know for myself that people who are disrespected, I cannot expect them to show up and be part of my world in a way where they can give their best contributions and join with me. There's just zero chance, as far as I can see, that someone who feels demeaned and disrespected by me is going to show up and say, hey, Mushim, I want to work with you. So I'll finish by saying now is the time. Now is the time to call in everything that we have to call in. Now is a time to offer everything that we have to offer to others. In order to do these two things, we need to have mindfulness, whatever it's called and whatever tradition we're in. So, if meditation regularly is not your thing, quit with the meditation. Do not worry about it. My invitation for you is to try to bring moments of mindfulness throughout the day, throughout each and every day, and maybe a whole day goes past in unconsciousness. That can happen. That's all right with mindfulness. Mindfulness is perennially about reminding ourselves over and over and over again, checking in. What am I experiencing in my body? Physical sensations. What am I experiencing in terms of my thoughts? Are they fast? Are they slow? Is thinking occurring? Just noticing thinking is occurring is one of the most valuable things we can do for ourselves without following the content of the thoughts. Just sometimes I feel as though my mind is full of what I call garbage thoughts. I simply can't control this irrepressible spinning out. And once I notice it, the spinning begins to slow down. What am I experiencing in terms of my emotions? When we can tease that out, that helps us to, again, make the wise discernment of asking ourselves how we can show up in the most strategic and effective ways. None of us are going to live forever. None of us has, as far as I know, infinite amounts of time and energy. Therefore, let us dedicate ourselves to using the time and energy we have wisely, joyfully, and strategically To act strategically, we need to know what our goal is. So we might invite ourselves to begin to ask ourselves, what is my goal? And that can be something that shifts and changes. What are my goals? And then to ask ourselves, who are my people? And you can answer that any way you like. The people in this sense are my people, are those with whom I can move forward together. And I would suggest that we consider, I think that the 12-step folks say this with a lot of wisdom, to detach with love with those with whom we cannot move forward together at this time. We may need to make some discernments. I am doing that in my own life, and I tend to do it anyway because I'm a person with limited time and energy. So who are my people? Who can I move forward together with? And how can I call them in to give me what I need? How can I ask them for what I need? These are good questions to ask ourselves. So call in our people and say what we need, and then call our people and give what we can give. When we have heard from our people what they need, we can't give them everything, but we may be able to give them more than we think, or even something we think is little that's enormous in the other person's life. It's not for us to judge that 10-minute call that we had a chance to give, saying, I see you, you're awesome, your work is making a total difference in my life, keep it going, I love you, you're just incredible. That to us may seem like, oh my gosh, I couldn't give them money, I couldn't give them 5 hours of my time, I couldn't show up for their, the rally that they have organized. And that's okay. Let it be enough, as Zahra has said. Let it be enough. It's what we can do, and we cannot gauge the total big picture effect of everything now. We're in a process, good folks, and so call everything in and then call our people and give what we can. For myself, this includes working a lot by phone, working a lot by Zoom. I do write cards and letters and send things in postal mail. I love postal mail. This includes prayer. I have a prayer partner, and this is someone with chronic illness in our Sangha. And so I allow this person to set the time. We try to touch base every morning and every evening for about 5 minutes. And we each say a prayer and we bless one another to begin the day and to thank one another and to end the day together. It is a beautiful practice. And we draw these prayers from a number of different traditions. This might be through meditation, and this might be through action, that we call in our people and that we give what we can. So I'll end there and thank everyone who is now listening, thank everyone who may be listening, if we're able to distribute this talk, and to say that everything that you are contributing is of value. Nothing is too small not to be taken into account in the bigger picture and in the long run. And it is my faith, it is my hope that we will all complete the journey of liberation together. Thank you.